Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I am super psyched to have Frannie Matthews in studio with me. She is the president and CEO of Colorado Technology Association. You've been in this role just over a year now, and you have some exciting events coming up. We know we have the Colorado Smart Cities Symposium. We also have a conversation with Gary Shapiro, which is super exciting stuff. But before we do any of that, Frannie, it has been about a year since I had you in studio, so we're going to get a refresher on your background and why you're so excited for these upcoming events. So how are you?
I'm great. I am great. Every time anybody asks me about how's it been, what's the first year like, it's been explosive. I feel like I've been riding a champagne cork.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a really wonderful year. I'm passionate about innovation and what technology can do for the betterment of our community. And I also am passionate about ensuring that everybody knows about it, because understanding what is available through tech and innovation is critically important for individuals, organizations, communities, nations to do well.
Yeah.
And so my why has kind of changed in the last year. You know, I was looking at it more, I think I was more focused on the economic development side of it. Mm-hmm. But now I'm looking at it, that's a big component, but I'm looking at it, how do we ensure that our state thrives?
Yeah.
And we've had a history since the mining days that we would do this we had a sine wave of boom and bust. And a lot of times capital went outside the state. Governor Lamb wrote a great book called The Angry West on this subject, and I read it years ago. And, I look at tech as being that stabilizer that provides high income jobs, highly expertise-driven jobs, and that as a foundation for our economy makes a very strong and stable environment. And it's just great for our community.
Yes. I find it interesting that you're putting technology and stabilization together. Because one of the things when I think about technology, while yes, we have seen a clear path of it continuing to grow, we don't know what we don't know about technology. So interesting that you use stabilization with that.
Well, there's some irony there.
Yeah.
But what we do know, and Gary talks about it, and we'll talk about the conversation with Gary Shapiro, but he talks about the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. And that will continue. We had Beth Comstock, who was the ex-vice chair of innovation for General Electric, as our keynote speaker at Women in Technology. And one of her ways of flipping this was, we will never see a slower rate of change than we do today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I know. It's
goosebumps.
Yeah, because that goes back to my, basic premise is that we as individuals need to be thinking along the lines of, is it always going to be the way we think it's going to be? What institutions are going to stay? What, how we do things. How is that really going to stay? Yeah. And there's so many disruptive technologies that will, in fact, create that change. But if we have an environment where we have highly educated, and I mean from an expertise perspective, we have to question our assumptions on what the definition of highly educated is.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah. Yes.
And we have a diverse workforce, and we'll be very successful.
Yeah.
But we have to be thinking along the lines of not leaving people behind, because jobs will change.
Yes.
But new jobs are going to be created. And I think that's part of my why from the last year, is that I want to, scream that from the top of every 14er in Colorado, that we really need to be thinking for everyone in our society on how they can participate. Everyone can participate.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I am continuing to see a trend on this show, particularly in the workforce development area, is that in 30 years, inevitably, we are going to have jobs created that we've never thought of before, which is fascinating and beyond me, right? But then we also have this proponent of our blue collar workers are getting left behind, but really, I feel like our blue collar workers, and I put that in quotation marks, simply because it's got a negative connotation and it shouldn't. They are the ones that are getting that level of education and dealing with the technology itself. They have that hands-on education that I think a lot of people end up missing in the big grand scheme of technology.
I agree.
Yeah.
Experience-based learning is critically important, and those skills are transferable. Just have to do it in the backdrop of what's available from a technology perspective. The other thing is, I think we tend to look at disciplines, and we could use medicine or business applications like accounting, and we think it's just going to look like this is what the box looks like, and that's changing.
Yeah.
So
we're no longer going to be in a box. We're going to be in an oval.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be moving. It won't be this linear thing. And so I think all the time about, we have constructs that tend to be hierarchical.
Yes.
I think that's going to change a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be a lot flatter. There's a lot of evidence that that's the way we're going. And we also are going to be a lot more nimble. I mean, we talk about gig economy, and that's going to change things.
Yes.
You may not have employees. You may have contractors that come in and work together on projects and then disperse.
Ooh.
Yeah. So again, not to, when we think about the future of work, it's not what we've seen in the past.
Exactly, which is, I think we're embarking here on a journey that is going to be more surprising than we anticipated. Yeah. And one of my favorite things that you've said so far is question your assumptions.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think a lot of people are going to have trouble with inherently. Our leaders today, if they're not sitting on this cutting edge, they're going to fall behind.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's critically important. In fact, I think in graphs, and there's a graph called the MarTech graph, and it talks about how quickly it's pretty much exponential, the rate of change of technology. And then there's a more subtle curve on the ability for an organization or even an individual to consume that technology. Oh. And so that's cultural. And so if you have a entity that is able to absorb this and really make it progress their business or their community, be ahead of the game. So what's that take as an individual? I think about this a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it does start with questioning your assumptions. But I would say the next thing is curiosity, is really having your worldview opened up. And so when you see something new, you want to know more about that and take that puzzle piece and fit it into what your schema is. And those individuals that are able to do that and then adapt will be highly successful.
Yes.
I also think that and Gary talks about it a little bit in his book as well, we're going from a status-based to a skills-based world.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and I love that.
I do too. I for one, as you know, I took a different course when it came to career and work and schooling. So I didn't graduate until college until I was 30. And even then, I have an associate's degree. I don't really have a desire at the moment to get a bachelor's, but I've gotten so much on-the-job experience that isn't replaceable with any education. Funnily enough, one of the curiosity you brought up, my journalism professor, she said the one thing that she wished she could teach her students was curiosity. Yeah. Because without that, you're not going to really pursue your goals. You have to have that curiosity. I don't know about you, but sometimes I fall down a Google hole. I get a question and I ask Google, and then I find an article, and then all of a sudden, 10 articles later, I have found out exactly why black holes are the way they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, no, I do that all the time. I mean, I spend about an hour to an hour and a half, I try to, if I get a good night's sleep, to read and before I head off for the day. Yeah. And I'm also an Audible nut. Yeah.
Yes.
So I listen to books on my way in, and it's all about, right now I'm on this innovation.
Yeah.
JAG. And I think that's going to continue. I keep navigating toward, or, migrating toward it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do think it's important. It's important to talk about it.
Yes.
Because like on the curiosity front, the other component of that is courage. Like, it doesn't take much courage to Google.
Right.
But it takes courage to walk up to Gary Shapiro and say, I want you to come to Denver and talk.
Yeah.
And, and that's what happened I met him in New Mexico. And that's how this whole thing came about. Because I read his ideas, and it was exactly the message that I want to get out to our community.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it spawns conversation. So for that, I'm kind of going around the horn on this, but we are going to have Gary Shapiro on August 23rd at DU, and it'll be a lunch, and it'll be an opportunity to network and also hear these ideas.
Yes.
And that's what I think is so explosive when you start to think about them. Everybody has heard kind of the same thing, and then you talk about it. And that's the first step to taking action in innovation.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't come to the table with a conversation, right? Yeah. You're going to get left behind, as we continue to say.
Yeah.
But I, for one, am also very excited for this conversation with Gary Shapiro. As you know, Colorado Business Roundtable has partnered with Colorado Technology Association, as well as Gary Shapiro's company, Consumer Technology Association. Again, that is at the University of Denver, August 23rd. It is a luncheon. You can sign up. Click on the link below, go to cobrt.com/events, click on August 23rd. We'll get people to this luncheon.
Yeah, I am, this is probably the most excited I've been about a signature event, because it's an intimate, he usually talks to thousands of people at a time, and this will be an intimate setting. And we'll be able to have question and answer. It should be awesome.
Which is amazing. I always love that question and answer portion at the end. And we're making sure people are asking questions, not giving comments, right?
That's exactly right.
It is one thing that annoys me at every event. But I love that this all came about simply because you met him in New Mexico and you saw his vision.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him talk about it, and I had been reading enough, and I was doing my own keynotes, and it's like, okay, he's saying it again. And he has it from a national level.
Right.
So we're talking about, CTA is mostly a B2B, but the reality is there's so many parallels. It all matches.
Yeah.
And I have a theory that actually at the consumer space, it's the canary down the mine shaft for how quickly innovation can be adopted, because at an individual, it's much easier to adopt, technology and innovation than it is as an organization, because of the cultural aspects of change.
Yeah.
And so it's our opportunity to look in the lens and see what's going on.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I can't wait for this. You also have another signature event.
I know.
In August, about 3 days before. So you guys, props to you guys for turning right around and getting these two events out there. But this one is your second annual Colorado Smart Cities Symposium.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. First of all, I have to ask how last year's was.
We have great feedback on it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a full day.
Yeah.
We had quite a few. I would say it was probably 40% participant from government.
Yes.
And
Ooh,
so in the
nice.
audience
Yeah.
and on stage as well. But talking about, where we are with the concepts of smart cities, our basic theme has been how to improve the citizen experience. And so we talked a lot about that. And we also talked about, the impedances. And, how do we get through some of that? And then the possibilities. There were some great examples of leveraging our national labs in Colorado to better predict, use weather information to better use clean energy. because, maximizing, where the energy is coming from, and, doing the right things for storage and really making it the most efficient. And that was fascinating.
Yes.
So we had lots of technology partners there that were able to talk about their solutions, and it was just an all-around great day. So we're kind of amplifying that.
Yeah.
So this year it's going to be at the Hyatt Regency on August 20th.
Yeah.
And our intention is to really talk about things that are in play. With all of this, there's a lot of issues around policy.
Yes.
So our lunchtime is talking about micromobility.
Ooh.
Well, it's basically scooters.
I gotta tell you, I hate them.
Well, there will be a lot of conversation about it. We have Lyft and Bird, and we also have the city of Boulder and the city of Denver talking on this panel.
Yeah.
And in Boulder, they have been banned. So, I don't want anybody throwing chairs, but I want it to be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it will be. Absolutely. I love, first of all, that you had 40% last year of government participation, both in the audience and on stage. I'm hoping more government entities come to the table this year.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because we can dream all day about the perfect future city, but unless we have real people that can implement these changes, it's all for naught.
Right.
So exciting that government
exciting.
wants to participate so much.
We also, we're also looking at private sector in this because it's really smart spaces. There are particular use cases that would go with government implementation.
Yes.
But there's a lot of use cases that cross the spectrum. So we have a company called View that has nanotechnology that can adjust the light through windows.
Ooh.
Really fascinating technology.
Interesting.
I know. Yeah. So it's going to be very. We'll be looking at things that really can be implemented.
Yes.
And if explore where we can go next.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things about that, I read a study not too long ago. One of the annoying things about offices is lack of natural sunlight, right? And so and then the fluorescent lighting, that is everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
But those two things. So this View is interesting because I have seen that, or I've read about the technology where you can make whatever you want to see out your window, right? And so if I want Machu Picchu in my office, I can do that.
Well, you could also get a green screen and then
Yes, you could. Good call. Good call.
You could just do it digitally.
No, this is exciting stuff. I actually, while you're here, I also wanted to ask you if you could define smart city for me.
Well, I think that it's kind of, I think there's a lot of different definitions.
Yeah.
My personal definition is leveraging technology for a better citizen experience.
I like that.
So, that's a pretty broad definition. We certainly see there's the use of specific technologies like cameras and all sorts of things that could improve law enforcement. But there's, it comes in many different forms.
Yeah.
A lot of it is using emerging technologies to just do things better.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
yeah, we'll be talking a lot about transportation.
Good.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
That's one of those that I think we've gone back and forth on. It's been pretty contentious as far as the legislation's concerned.
Right.
But actually having innovators at the table with government to talk about it, that's very exciting.
It is exciting. And my last year of spending a lot of time focused on innovation. I also, from a policy perspective, we have to have smart policy,
yes.
Hands down. And when we aren't paying attention, then we wind up with policy that doesn't make sense, or patchwork policy, and
yes.
That's really inefficient. And so, but I am really protective of that initial stages of innovation, because if you thwart that with regulation, you're going to thwart the innovation.
Ooh.
And so, it's not to be said that you go without regulation, but it is to be said that you give the opportunity, a petri dish for innovation to grow.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's like if you give somebody those seeds, right? They need to plant them.
Yeah.
And the sun will dictate that policy eventually.
Right.
Yeah. But until you get there, be as creative
Yeah.
as you want with those seeds.
Right.
Yes. Lovely. So, Frannie, we've got a few minutes left here. Tell me a little bit for what CTA has in store for the rest of 2019 into 2020.
So after we have these two signature events, we will have our Apex Awards.
Ooh.
And that is that's the awards based for excellence in technology in our community. And we just shut down nominations. We'll be starting to review them. We had unbelievable nominations this year. We're really, really excited about it.
Fantastic.
And so that will be in November. And then we continue to do a series that we call the Insights series. And we'll pick a particular topic and delve into it. We'll be doing it on customer experience.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that, again, that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So using technology to enhance your customer experience is, critically important. We just did one on the future of work.
Yes.
And we did it up at the St. Verrain School District Innovation Center.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they are really doing a terrific job of scaling and getting young people into technology-rich careers.
They do a fantastic job. I actually have had Dr. Hadid here in the studio, and he was telling me about his technology bus. He had a better name for it.
We took a tour of it when we were there last month.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's very exciting. And I love what they're doing up there because it's scaling and they're amplifying the message and they're getting the message to a younger audience than I necessarily am. However, I do want to tell you about our foundation. We had been under Rose Community Foundation, and that has been awesome. But we felt that we were at a stage that we could break out and create our own foundation. We just got approval. And one of our first big events is going to be SheTech. This will be the third year we've done it. And it was brought to us by Governor Polis when he was in Congress.
Yeah.
And so we are wanting to have 500 girls at this event. Freshmen, high school girls, and seeing what's available through tech. We had 19 industry partners that did a remarkable job of showing what can be done in tech and what this looks like. And it was a very inspiring day, and we are just ready to scale it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am super excited for that. We will definitely help you get the word out for SheTech.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, my pleasure. Everything, I learned so much in here from industry leaders like yourself that come in and talk with me. But one of the big facets about...
She's curious.
I am curious. One of the big facets about technology is that it doesn't look how you think it looks.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
which is my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Frannie, it has been an absolute pleasure having you in studio. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's always fun.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so.
I'll come back if you invite me.
Absolutely. Well, once again, as we said, a conversation with Gary Shapiro that is happening August 23rd at the University of Denver. Go ahead and sign up for that at cobrt.com/events, or you can click on the link below to also find out more information about the August 20th event. That is Colorado Smart Cities Symposium. Attend. We're very excited for that. So thank you so much. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.